Hey, welcome back. These are the Sean Wotherspoon Adidas Orketros, dubbed the Unapologetic 2000s in white and easy yellow. They were released on January 19th, 2023, and retail was $160. There's a lot of cool little details that I want to go over, including the style that inspires the overall look of this silhouette. And it's a quite fascinating era of architectural design as well as aesthetics. But first, let's talk about the collaborator. Sean Wotherspoon is certainly not new to the sneaker space. He is a Los Angeles-based fashion designer and vintage clothing store owner. He is best known for winning the 2017 Nike Air Max Day design competition with his hybrid design that combined elements from the Air Max 97 and the Air Max 1. This design, called the Nike Air Max 1/97 Sean Wotherspoon, became one of the best creations in recent years, one of the most highly sought after sneakers in sneaker culture. In his latest collaboration, he chose this really cool Orketro silhouette, a very interesting sneaker nonetheless. And notice in this particular upper, the overlay panels, the various materials and textures and colors. The shoe draws apparently from the era of the 90s and 2000s. You can see it when you look at some of the ads that were created during that time. And I definitely think the Orketro does that as well. It's a complex, interesting sneaker. It's sort of abstract. There's sort of this organic feel to it, but it draws from this aesthetic known as brutalism. Brutalism is a style characterized by raw and unpolished materials such as concrete, steel, and rough textures. It prioritizes functionality and exposes the structure of the building or object, often resulting in a more rugged or monolithic appearance. It sort of looks alien or abstract, which is really interesting. The style originated in the mid-20th century and was influenced by the modernist architectural movement. It was particularly popular in the 1950s and 1960s, and it emerged because of the war. So they wanted to make things much more cheaply, much more efficiently, and so in the midst of a post-war society, architecture became much more industrial and efficient, and that's where we get this brutalist-looking sort of aesthetic from. Getting back to this shoe, the parallels of brutalism in the shoe is very apparent on this shoe. It really comes out of the distinct materials that are sewn into the various overlay portions of the sneaker. And you can look at it, it's not seamless. Like I said earlier, it's very organic. Some of it seems like it's placed randomly. There seems to be this postmodern sort of feel to the sneaker. There's an abstractness when you have disjointed sort of independent panels across the entire sneaker. And one of the things that I really like about this sneaker is sort of its asymmetrical nature. It's sort of a sneaker that wraps around. There's really no mirrored side from the medial to the lateral side. And I think brutalism really fits into that sort of aesthetic. You don't know where a design begins or ends in a brutalist sort of aesthetic. And because brutalism sort of incorporates unalloyed or unmixed compositions, you can see how one textile or one material doesn't really flow into the other. You can clearly see distinctly each portion if you look closely enough. A great example is the iconic Adidas three stripes actually on this. When you see it here, when you look at other Adidas sneakers, the three stripes is sort of integrated well, but here it's sort of obnoxiously taking over the front panel on the lateral side. It sort of overwrites some of the other patterns that you see, especially the patterns underneath. And I think that's a really interesting choice from a shoe designer standpoint. The shoe also has geometric abstraction. The panels are almost randomly placed and don't necessarily have a particular shape it's trying to communicate. They look like pieces of textiles that are like sort of like leftovers from a different release or something. The underlay of the shoe is just as beautiful, I would say, as the overlays. You get pink mesh. And what I like about this particular pink mesh is how porous it is. It's very soft. I like the weave in it. It almost feels like a sponge. Something very airy and light, so I really like that. Another interesting detail is the asymmetrical light tan colored paneling around the front quarter of the shoe. And I like this little touch of like forest green. It's a little bit of teal. It's like this felt textile that's underneath near the mudguard. And one material that I really appreciate is corduroy. And you don't see a lot of corduroy on sneakers. It's usually used in more like apparel and clothing. But corduroy on the sneaker, there's black corduroy on the eyelet area. You can also find it on the heel portion. But there's also this more cream or like light tan colored corduroy, kind of used sparingly throughout the medial and lateral side near the midsole. But probably the most bold color is coming from this blue embroidered piping that kind of goes across the entire shoe and towards the front. And the intensity of that color is really only matched by this neon orange that you find on the tongue of the sneaker. You know this is a Sean Wotherspoon collaboration because you have SW here, his initials. And lastly, a third color of corduroy is used on the tongue itself. I might think this is my favorite part of the entire sneaker, the way that they've incorporated this corduroy portion into the tongue. Off-white laces come on the shoe, and a secondary blue pair is also included. And then looking at the ankle area, you get cream colored textile wrapping the border, and inside the shoe you also get these black paddings that supports your foot. The insole is a really interesting choice. It's this uncommon cork material. I mean, it's really just like a pattern on top with sort of this like cheap foam insole, but I like the aesthetic of a cork insole. The shoe has a few distinct Adidas tech features as well. Adiprene Plus, which is the full-length midsole in this aged yellow. Torsion shank plates, Adiwear traction on the outsole, which is a really cool design, and it has a squad of different colors. It also has 4Motion technology in the heel. All that results in a fine, comfortable shoe. Adidas has made a really nice silhouette here. I went true to size and they fit pretty well, but I think I could go even up half a size if I wanted to, just because I think there's a little bit of narrowness in the toe box, and I like having just a tad bit more room in the toe box area. But I'm really happy with true to size. I think they fit well. They're not uncomfortable. Glad that Sean's back collaborating on sneakers. I'm excited to see what he creates next. And yeah, I think this is a fantastic shoe. Thanks so much for watching. Hit that thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you like this video. Let me know what you think about these sneakers. I don't know how popular these sneakers have been in the culture, but let me know what your thoughts are. Would you rock these? Are these something that you would wear regularly? Leave a comment below and I'll catch you in another video. Peace.